condition. Can you understand? So alpha waves, these are normal waves, delta waves can be pathological. So there are 4 waves: alpha wave, beta waves, theta waves and delta waves. Okay. Now we'll go for variations of the EG waves. Variations. What is meaning by variation? Variation means normally EG waves can vary according to various situation also. So this is called variation of EG waves. So number one is, it can be varied in situations like in various stages of sleep. In various, when the person is sleeping and when the person is passing various stages of sleep, ultimately it can be shows change in the EG waves depending on the stages of the sleep. Can you understand? That's why EG waves, EG electroencephalogram is also used for studying the various sleep disorders. Can you understand? So it also shows depending on the variations. Number 2, variations in ages. EG wave shows variation from children to adult. From children to adult, EG wave shows variations. Can you understand? EG wave will shows variation depending on the age of the subjects. Then depending on the hypoventilation, hyperventilation, increase carbon dioxide in the blood, or hypercapnia. So when the person is doing hyperventilation or hypoventilation, increase respiratory rate or decrease respiratory rate, at the same time there is a carbon dioxide accumulation in the blood, EG waves can be shows variation. Can you understand? EG waves shows some changes. So this proves that depending on the degree of breathing or respiratory rate, or when the person is doing hyperventilation or hypoventilation or carbon dioxide accumulation, the EG waves shows variation. Any other important? Yes, it can show variation in situation like hypothermia. Hypothermia, then hypoglycemia. So it shows variation in hypothermia low body temperature, and hypoglycemia is fall in blood glucose level. So in fall in blood glucose level also you show changes in EG waves. Any other changes? Yes, it can be changes in increased secretion of various hormone like increased secretion of glucocorticoid and decrease of glucocorticoid. So they will show the EG pattern may change depending on the secretion of the glucocorticoid and increased secretion and decreased secretion of glucocorticoid. Can you understand? Besides, EG wave can also shows variation depending on the various diseases. In various diseases also, the EG waves can show variation. So number 1 is sleep. In various stages of sleep, it shows variation depending on the ages. From children to adult, as we move, the EG wave shows variation. And hypoventilation, hyperventilation, carbon dioxide retention in the blood may also shows EG variation. In hypothermia and hypoglycemia, it shows variation. And at the same time, hypersecretion of glucocorticoids or steroids and hyposecretion of glucocorticoid also shows EG variation, and it can be seen in various diseases. Can you understand? So we have finished the variation of the EG waves. Now we will go for function or the importance of EG wave or applications. So what are the functions or applications of EG waves? What are the functions and applications of EG waves? So number 1 is function or application. Number 1 is diagnosis of epilepsy. EG waves are very much helpful in diagnosis of epilepsy. What is epilepsy? Epilepsy is nothing but paroxysmal hyperactivity due to asynchronous discharge of cerebral neurons. It may be pathological because of brain tumors, it may be because of a stroke, following a stroke, it may be because of following a trauma to the brain, or because of subarachnoid hemorrhage or brain injury, or because of a tumor, or because of an epileptic seizure, because of any pathology of the brain, the formation of epileptic focus. All these because of leads to increased asynchronous discharge of the cerebral neurons, which leads to paroxysmal, means sudden hyperactivity. Example is sudden increase in the muscle tone, sudden clenching of the teeth, sweating, change in autonomic activity. So these are activity nothing but whole body shaking, whole body movements. This can be seen in case of epilepsy. This is because paroxysmal hyperactivity due to asynchronous discharge of the abnormal discharge of the cerebral neurons, not normal, abnormal discharge of cerebral neurons. And epilepsy can be diagnosed by using EEG, a special type of pattern. We will record spike and dome pattern. So this is the spike and this is the dome. So spike, dome pattern of the EEG waves can be recorded in specifically in case of epilepsy. Can you understand? So it helps in diagnosis of EEG electroencephalogram helps in the diagnosis of epilepsy or epileptic seizures. So special type of EEG waves, spike and dome pattern. There will be spike followed by dome, spike followed by dome. We call it spike and dome pattern, which can absolutely seen in case of epilepsy. Can you understand? Next important function of EEG waves in differentiation of Alzheimer's with confusion state. In differentiating Alzheimer's disease with confusion. Alzheimer's disease is actually neurodegenerative disorder where the acetylcholine secretion is decreased. Can you understand? Because of defect in the nucleus of Maynard, and because of that there will be total memory loss. So EEG waves can ultimately differentiate between the memory loss, whether it is because of Alzheimer's disease or the person is in confusion state. Can you understand? So this differentiation from the Alzheimer's disease and confusion state can be done because by recording of EEG. Can you understand? The next important is brain tumor. In diagnosis of brain tumor, it helps. I've already told that EEG waves can show delta waves. EEG waves will show delta waves in case of brain tumor. Can you understand? So it helps in diagnosis of brain tumor. Next important is ICSOL. What is ICSOL? ICSOL means intracranial space occupying lesion. Intracranial space occupying lesion. If there is a accumulation of any mass or accumulation of any fluid, accumulation of any cavities, accumulation of any brain tumor in any part of brain, these can compress the neurons and ultimately produce abnormal electrical activity of the neurons, from the neurons. So ICSOL can also be diagnosed by using electroencephalogram. Can you understand? Next important thing is the cerebral hemorrhage. Cerebral hemorrhage means stroke. Stroke or thrombosis. Stroke are two types, hemorrhagic stroke and ischemic stroke. So in stroke also actually the neurons got damaged because of ischemia, decreased blood flow, or because of sudden rupture, because of accumulation of blood, it will compress the neurons, and because of compression of the neurons will be damaged, and because of damage of the neurons, electrical activity shows abnormal change and can be recorded by electroencephalogram. So it can be also helps in diagnosis of stroke, cerebral hemorrhage, thrombosis. Can you understand? This is the important function of electroencephalogram. Next one is, it also plays important role in studying the different stages of sleep. In studying different stages of sleep, I told you it shows typical variation in different sleep stages of sleep. Non-rapid eye movement sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. That's why EEG plays important role in studying the various stages of sleep. Can you understand? And various sleep disorder also. Next one is, it has played important role in doing academic interest. It has some academic point of view. We can show the electrical activity of brain by doing the EEG for medical students, for various medical students, paramedical students, for doing research also. This plays important role. EEG plays important role for academic interest also, and it also plays important role for doing research. In doing clinical neuroscience research, cognitive neuropsychology research, neurology research, and various researches. This EEG plays important role. Next, it also helps in studying the various stages of consciousness. Can you understand? From alert to coma. In diagnosis of coma or on various stages of consciousness, from alertness to coma, EEG plays important role. So that is the most important, one of the important functions. Next comes the diagnosis of brain death. It helps in diagnosis of brain death. All of you know brain death means death of the brain stem, so there will be flat ECG, EEG. In brain death, there will be flat EEG, no electrical activity can be recorded, and it helps in diagnosis of brain death. Next one, it also helps in diagnosis of encephalopathy. Encephalopathy means pathology of the brain. Can you understand? So it also helps in diagnosis of encephalopathy. It also helps in diagnosis of encephalitis. Encephalitis means inflammation of brain, where neurons can be injured and help in inflammation of the brain. Brain pathologies it can also help. It can also help in diagnosis of head injury or neuronal injury because of head. Because of head injury, then there is a brain tissue loss or brain neurons loss. It can be diagnosed head injury. Head injury. Can you understand? It can be also used for differentiation of the epileptic seizure from other seizure. It can also help in differentiation of the epileptic seizure with other seizure. Can you understand? It can help in differentiation of epileptic seizure with other seizure. Other seizure means other non-epileptic seizure. If the seizure is because of other non-epilepsy also, they can differentiate. EEG. Any other important role? Yes, it can also helps in differentiation of the encephalopathy from psychosis. Can you understand? It also helps in differentiation of the encephalopathy from psychosis. It also helps in depth of anesthesia. It also helps in diagnosis of depth of anesthesia, how much anesthesia is worked in, and helps in diagnosis of or studying the degree of depth of anesthesia. It can also be used in ICU. It can be used in ICU also for study the, and it can also be recorded during intraoperatively also. Intraoperatively, if we put the surface electrodes, so electrocardiogram, sometimes it is, which is a type of electroencephalogram or variation of electroencephalogram, we call it electrocardiogram. This can be done intraoperatively while doing neurosurgery to see whether after neurosurgery the electrical activity is normal or become abnormal or again normal. Can you understand? So intraoperatively neurosurgery, during neurosurgery, electrocardiogram can also be done. And also it helps in various research. I told you, neuroscience research, neuropsychology research, cognitive neuroscience research, cognitive psychology research. In those various type of research, it will also plays an important role. EEG. Can you understand? So these are the various functions of EEG. So we will revise again. EEG waves helps in important role in diagnosis of epilepsy. It also helps in differentiation of the Alzheimer's disease, the confusion state. It also helps in diagnosis of brain tumor. Delta wave can be seen in case of brain tumor. ICSOR, intracranial space occupying lesion, it helps in diagnosis. It also helps in diagnosis of stroke, cerebral hemorrhage, cerebral thrombosis. It also helps in studying the various stages of sleep. It also helps in studying for students, especially academic interest, and for research also cognitive neuroscience research, psychology research, neurological research, brain research, it plays an important role. It also helps to study various stages of consciousness from alertness to coma, and diagnosis of coma also plays an important role. It also helps in diagnosis of brain death. It also helps in diagnosis of encephalopathy, pathology of the brain. It also helps in inflammation of brain, that is encephalitis, diagnosis. It also helps in brain injury. It also in diagnosis of brain injury, like in case of subarachnoid hemorrhage or epidural hematoma or any brain head injury, any brain blood clot, that also helps in leading to head injury, neuronal damage can be diagnosed. It also helps in differentiation from the epileptic seizure from non-epileptic seizure. It also helps in studying the depth of anesthesia, and also it can be used in ICU and also in various type of research. Like I already told, it can helps in cognitive research, cognitive neuroscience research, cognitive psychology research, brain research, clinical neuroscience research, applied neuroscience research, and all etc. etc. Can you understand? So these are the various functions of EEG and importance of EEG. So we can see that it plays an important role in diagnosis of various diseases. Can you understand? Now we go for very important applied some of the important. What is clinical EEG? Clinically, what is clinical EEG? Clinical EEG means what is clinical EEG? Clinical EEG means here. Actually, normally in clinically we apply lots of channels on the some channel or multiple electrodes on the surface of the brain or on the surface of the skull. Can you understand? So there are 16 channel EEG, where 16 and each of the one channel can ultimately has 2 electrodes. So can you understand? So there are 16 electrodes, multiple channel electrodes put on the various parts of the brain, on the brain surface, on the skull surface, from where electrical activity is recorded. Now why we take give multiple electrodes? This is because we give multiple electrodes so that various area of the lesion can be recorded. At the same time, the degree of injury, neuronal loss, or degree of variation in the neuronal activity at the various part of the brain can be recorded. Can you understand? So if there is an lesion, we can easily diagnose if we use multiple channel electrodes. So based on that, there is unipolar, bipolar. So there are bipolar electrodes. What are bipolar electrodes? Bipolar electrodes means those electrodes which both the electrodes are on the surface of the skull. Can you understand? Both the electrodes are on the surface of the, they has 2 poles. These electrodes, this EEG has bipolar EEG, we call it, these electrodes, both the electrodes are on the surface of the skull. We call it bipolar electrodes. There is unipolar also, unipolar EEG electrodes. Here, one electrode is on the surface of the skull and another on the ear, back of the ear. Can you understand? So these are various bipolar and unipolar EEG, and normally clinically we use multiple channels or multiple electrodes like 16 channel, and based on that there is vertical run, bipolar run, horizontal run, various based on the arrangement of the electrodes. There are vertical run electrodes, horizontal run electrodes, bipolar electrodes, and these are the applied as how we do record the EEG in clinically. Can you understand? Now we'll go for advantage of EEG. What are the advantage of EEG? Of course, with the discovery and with the advent of new technologies like MRI, CT scan, SPECT. Can you CT scan, SPECT, then various techniques, imaging techniques, the importance of EEG has come down, but still it has some important advantage. What is the advantage? So various techniques has come out like MRI, positron emission test, functional MRI, CT scan, single photon emission CT. So there are lots of technology that has come out which can do important imaging in brain, but we should know some of the advantage of the EEG. So number one is that it does not need any electromagnetic wave. No electromagnetic wave. It is less costly. It is less costly, less technological effort, less time, no claustrophobia. Claustrophobia means especially those patients which shows fear of closed space. They have very trouble in doing MRI, CT scan and all those things because their body is entered into a closed space. So person having claustrophobic, they can easily do the EEG which does not need any claustrophobic situation. Can you understand? So that's why there is no claustrophobia, no electromagnetic, no radiation, no exposure to radiation, no sound. No radioisotope technique, and at the same time it is non-invasive. So these are the advantages. It does not need electromagnetic wave. It is less costly. It needs less technological effort. It can be done in any type of hospital with small settings. It takes less time also. There is no claustrophobic changes. No exposure to radiation, no sound effort. In MRI you have to expose to sound, so there is no sound effect, no radioisotope exposure as in SPECT, single photon emission CT, or positron emission test. We need exposure to radioisotope here. It is not needed here, and it is mostly important is that it is non-invasive. Can you understand? So these are the advantages. So what are the disadvantages? Disadvantage is that it cannot diagnose lesion which lies very deep to the cortical substance. Can you understand? It cannot diagnose tumors, or it can space lesion very deep to the brain tissues or the cortical neurons. It cannot diagnose, and at the same time it cannot give the degree area. It cannot locate the area very accurately. It cannot give the volume of lesion. So these things, it has some disadvantage. Whereas MRI, CT scan, FM functional MRI can also give other function. It does not play, cannot give importance, cannot give shows, it cannot diagnose, or it cannot focus on the blood flow, but functional MRI can focus on the blood flow to the part of brain. So it has lots of important disadvantages. It has some disadvantages also, like it cannot diagnose the size of the lesion, volume of the lesion, area of the lesion accurately. If the substance is, if the tumor is or the lesion is very deep to the surface, then electrical activity is less, then you cannot diagnose also. Besides that, it cannot give much importance to the blood flow. Can you understand? So these are the various disadvantages of electroencephalogram. Okay, now you should know some of the variations of electroencephalogram. Variation means the concept of electroencephalogram has been used to develop another technique. We call it evoked response potential. We call it evoked potential. What is evoked potential? Evoked potential means if you stimulate a sensory pathway. Now, because of this sensory pathway will carry the information and stimulate the surface electrodes, and from the putting electrodes on the surface of the cortical neurons on the skull, electrical activity can be recorded. Can you understand? So it is called evoked potential. Example is visual evoked potential, sensory evoked potential, brainstem evoked potential. Can you understand? So there are evoked potential means by giving giving stimuli to a particular sensory pathway, we are going to stimulate a sensory pathway. Now sensory pathway will take the stimulus to the and ultimately stimulate the cortical neurons, and from the cortical neuron the electrical activity can be recorded by putting surface electrodes. Can you understand? So we call it evoked potential, which is a derivative of encephalogram. It's a derivative of encephalogram, and so this has been developed to study visual evoked potential, sensory evoked potential, then brainstem evoked potential. Can you understand? These are the concept of evoked potential, which is nothing but derivative of electroencephalogram, where electrical activity of the surface neurons are done or studied by artificially stimulating the particular sensory pathway. Can you understand? So this concept is known as evoked potential, and it is nothing but derivative of electroencephalogram. Okay, so we almost finished the electroencephalogram. So I am giving a small summary again. What is the electroencephalogram? Electroencephalogram is a non-invasive technique whereby using surface electrodes on the skull, multiple channel electrodes on the surface of the skull, spontaneous electrical activity of the cerebral neurons are recorded and analyzed, and it helps in diagnosis of various diseases like epilepsy, brain tumor, various diseases of sleep, ICU, anesthesia, research aspect, stroke, brain tumors, various applied aspect it has. And there are 4 types of waves: alpha wave, beta wave, theta waves, and delta waves. And it also shows 2 types of important mechanisms known as synchronization and desynchronization. What is synchronization? Synchronization means EEG waves, if it is allowed, will show low frequency if the dipole of the electrical activity is allowed to shift of its own, because without any stimulus from any other part of brain, that is when reticular activating system is in rest. Can you understand? Then the frequency is low, and this is called synchronization of brain. And what is desynchronization? Desynchronization means if because of stimulation by other part of brain, it will stimulate the cerebral cortical neurons, and what will happen? The cerebral cortex will be, neurons will be stimulated, and the frequency will increase, and we will call it desynchronization. It can be seen in person in mental tension, mental activity, or when there is any type of brain activity. Can you understand? So this is the concept of synchronization and desynchronization. Can you understand? So here for today I stop here. Let me know how you like my lectures, and please focus my class and try to see the video, and it is very much important topic for your exam also. Thank you very much.